him, right? Damon?
Yeah.
He did a pretty good event. I've been there a couple of times.
Hey guys, Ron Musgrave's Pressure Washing Institute, guys, contractors first. Here today with John Braun, and he's the Hitman from Hitman Advertising. I met John 2016. That's how we've known each other longer than that. But I met him at a show in Charlotte, North Carolina. I almost said South Carolina because I get Charleston and Charlotte confused sometimes. We met back then. You came to that convention. At the time, were you just starting out then with the Hitman Advertising?
No, I'd actually been doing it for probably 7 or 8 years at least at that point.
Oh, so total we're talking 20 years then.
Well, 16 maybe.
16?
Yeah.
And tell just give my viewers like the short on what you do. Like just
Sure.
tell them like, hey, this is what I do for folks. Kind of let them know what we're going to talk about today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the short end of it is I was majoring in advertising. I wanted to start a cleaning business. So I did practice advertising, and eventually other cleaners started seeing my stuff and wanted me to do marketing for them. So I do everything from Google ads to SEO to websites to postcards to brochures, graphic stuff, all that stuff.
That's pretty neat stuff. And do you primarily focus on home service, or do you span over commercial or is it just mainly the home service industry?
I do some commercial, probably mostly residential, but I do but both, but primarily probably residential.
Tell these guys a little bit about your cleaning experience, because I think that's important. I think when you're hiring somebody that's going to market for you. I mean, some guys will say, well, it doesn't matter because all service businesses are, advertised the same. I don't agree with that. I guess we'll get into that and kind of share our thoughts on that. But tell me a little bit about your cleaning business that you have.
Sure. Yeah. So I owned a cleaning business for 22 years. And like I said, I started it in college, and from the ground up, just built it. We ran about 4 trucks. And we were the most expensive carpet cleaning company. We did carpet, tile, area rug cleaning, water damage restoration in our city, and ran it for 22 years. And I sold it about 7 years ago, almost 7 years ago at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there in the market, and I use postcards. You know what I mean? Even in I do commercial stuff. All my viewers know I'm just a big commercial guy. I use postcards, and I think that I used to use postcards for just giving them my branding. I mean, we're not Coca-Cola, right? We're not spending $80 billion on advertisement to where when anybody sees a logo, we recognize it. That's not us as cleaners. So what's important, do you think, when you're doing like a mailing campaign? I guess it's a double-edged thing. What do you think needs to be on the postcard? And then kind of talk a little bit also about what do you think the retention is, and not your ROI, because we know, when guys talk about postcards, and I know I don't get excited because the percentage is like email campaigns, right? 8% of the people open emails. What do you think? What do you think you need to be on a postcard? And then what is the ROI expected?
Sure. So, I mean, it depends on the type of postcard that you're doing, right? I mean, this is a client educational postcard. I sent this actual postcard to my clients, and it's educating them about why tile and grout needs to be cleaned and misconceptions people have about it, right? So I'm going to approach this a little bit differently because this is going to my clients, basically to inspire them to get tile cleaned if they never have gotten it cleaned, right? That's the goal here, and to remind them that maybe they don't know even that we do tile cleaning because we were primarily a carpet cleaning company. So it depends on what you're doing. So you always want to have a headline, right? You always want to have some sort of an offer, right? And obviously your phone number and website. Nowadays, I'd put a QR code on it. Before COVID, I wouldn't. But so like this is an EDDM. We may talk about this later. But this is.
Oh no, we can talk about EDDM because this is the best way to send it to a residential.
Right. For residential, this is good. Now, like commercial, this can be great because this is like sending to the people who you've already done business with. Maybe you clean carpet for them, or maybe it even was tile, right? but you're coming and you're reminding them that, hey, we're still here and you should still get this stuff done. And here's why, right? So here, they don't know it's from Adam. It's a huge postcard. Well, this one's not the biggest one that we've done, but an 8 by 10 inch, which is pretty big, right? You're not going to miss this in the mailbox, right? So here we've got something that's going to catch their attention. Again, a headline. They kind of want to know who's the guy that cleans in the neighborhood all the time, right? We put a picture of the front of the neighborhood sign. Sometimes I would actually stand in front of the neighborhood sign and film videos or take a picture of me in front of it, put that in the postcard. But how many times have you gotten a postcard with the picture of the front of your neighborhood in it? Probably never, right? And if you do, you're thinking, is this from the HOA? Oh God, right?
Right.
So it catches attention, pulls them in, shows them who the spokesperson is. Usually you want to have that, not always a requirement, but usually our guarantees, what we do that's unique. That's a big thing, man. You can't just go, we do sidewalks. And if they don't know anybody else that does sidewalks, great, you're golden. But if they know one other guy, you got a 50-50. If they know 4 other guys, you got a 25% chance. You see what I'm saying? So really you should be giving some benefits of what you do that's different, guarantees, things like that. And of course, offers, right? Backing that up, offers. And, we would give free gifts to specific neighborhoods, not everywhere, only the really high-end neighborhoods. We would usually require a minimum, though. It wouldn't be like free gift with no obligation. Sometimes we do that, but not always for residential. But so yeah, that's the main things. An offer, headline, catch their attention. You got to say something different. If your postcard, you know how to tell if your postcard or your ad sucks. Look at it. If I can pop my logo or somebody else's logo or phone number in there and it'll work for another company too, your postcard or your ad sucks.
Do you know what I always say about it?
What?
The 11-second rule. You've heard that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If in 11 seconds you can't determine what they're trying to tell you,
yep.
It's pretty bad.
Yep.
Have you ever driven around and been completely perplexed on some of these raps?
Oh,
you're looking at them, and I mean, I've gotten to a point. My wife gets mad because she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm chasing that vehicle because I really got to know what that person's doing. And we both get up there and we look at it, and you're like, and we look at each other, like, what do they do? I don't know. And okay, that's bad advertising, right? I mean, that's bad advertising.
And it's not just with van wraps; it's with postcards, with Google ads, with everything.
And it was funny because we found out it was actually a plumber, but it was kind of, the faucet was in the mural type thing inside, and it was, if they would have had the faucet, we would have been able to guess plumber, right? You know what I'm saying? But the name didn't say plumber in it. That was some like offshoot, like, Bill something or another. I mean, it was terrible, and I always try to tell people, give the card, give the media to somebody else, tell them, give them 11 seconds to look at it and tell them, hey, can you even remotely tell me what this card or what this advertising doing? And I always found out that's the best way. And that's why I was telling you before when we were in the green room, my best card was literally sidewalk cleaning. Right. It really was. Now, you're right. I probably put, and I put a lot of other people in business because I know when we used to cold call people after we did the mailers. Oh yeah, thanks for sending me the card. We got our guy out. It was really bad out there. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you. We did you that favor. And, I would always, and my guys, I would get competitors that would call back in the day too. And they'd go, Ron, keep doing what you're doing because they got your card that had the different packages, made it really easy for us to sell it. They just said they wanted package number 2. So keep sending them that. And I got my competitors using my card. Hey, what package do you want to be on?
Well, that's when you've got a good market share too.
Yeah.
When your competitor starts copying you, at first it pisses you off.
Yeah.
Then it's actually
No, they were using my postcard. They weren't even messing around.
Yeah, I've had it happen too, man. Yep.
Because I sent them my postcard too. You ever do that? You ever send your competitors your media?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I would send every home service contractor my postcard that I knew, everyone. Because
good idea. I
had to remind them that I was, available also. Right. And I reminded them I'm also out there. If they ask me for a pool guy, I'm going to pass on your name.
Yep.
I think people lack that idea of it's just not our old customers or even customers we're trying to get. There's all sorts of other people that you can send those things to. Because a pool guy, he's the number one guy in my business that asked, because they go, hey, do you do tile cleaning? And they got nobody to refer to them because they don't know anybody. Right. The pool guy cleans the pool. He ain't getting down there and taking the efflorescence off the tile.
Well, that's why an educational postcard like this is good, because we would send this to realtors, to maid services that didn't do deep tile cleaning, and we would have all those people on our list. We would have pool people on our list, right? We would send these postcards to them.
Just out of curiosity, when you go ahead and you have a campaign out there, I mean, tell me that process of what the dollars, once you run a postcard campaign on somebody, whether it's to, and I guess it's a double question here, to existing customers or non-existing customers. Right. What are the type of returns? What's the time you expect, for people to react? I mean, we standing by the phone? They're going to go off the hook in 3 days, or does it take multiple times sending them?
Yeah, it totally depends on new customer or not new customer, right? And again, the purpose of this is to educate and to remind who you are, and then put your name in front of them, right? Sometimes it's harder to track new repeat customers because they do automatically call you anyway, right? But this puts your message in front of them, and now they're reminded to do it again. Here's what I do know on repeat clients like this. In my own cleaning company, our repeat client ratio is about 80%. And any given week, 80% of the jobs we did were repeat clients. And it was because we were sending stuff like this every other month. And it wasn't, obviously it wasn't always tile. It was different subjects and different services. And but for Christmas, we'd send a, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays type of thing.
You had a Merry Christmas card too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I told you that was my second best card. What do you think?
Right.
What do you think that card really is? What do you think in terms of working and getting? I mean, it's hard to measure because I know on mine, I'm not asking for service on my Christmas card.
Right.
I'm just sending them Happy Holidays.
Right.
But it's funny, they call off that card.
Right. So here's what we do now. As soon as we'd send out a postcard, our phone would start ringing. Right. Sometimes we would go and we would have a special offer. They would barely ever mention special offer on the phone, but we'd get inside of the home and we'd see the postcard on the refrigerator or on the table or on their desk. Or we'd go to a neighbor's house. We're like, "Are you a new client?" "Yeah, Mrs. Jones referred me," and they'd hand me, next door. She referred me, and here's the postcard she gave me. It's a pass around item, right? So you're not only getting repeat clients coming back, you're getting referrals. Again, really hard to put a real number on it, but our repeat client ratio, 80%. Every one of my coaching clients that I've ever recommended to mail every other month to their past clients, and not forever, but maybe the clients that have used you in the last 2 or 3 years, right? After 3 years, forget about them is kind of what my thought. But anybody that's ever done it on any level of consistency has come back to me and said, "John, that was some of the best marketing I'd ever done." Connecting with your clients. That's huge, right? They're the people that keep you in business. Your pressure washing equipment, your carpet cleaning equipment, who cares? Burn it to the ground, buy another one. As long as you got your database and you can still do stuff like this, text messaging is huge too right now.
Man, you read my mind. Yeah. I was just gonna say,
but
are you on repeat, on these clients that are existing clients? How often are you sending a text?
Yeah.
Because we know we don't want to be annoying, right?
Not too often, right? Yeah. So here again, the benefit to this versus text. Text message is what about this long, and it's just text, and that's it, right? You can put pictures in them, but I don't recommend that because of spam and all that. But people unsubscribe. Here they can unsubscribe, and you're saying much more stuff. So here's the system that I did in my cleaning company that I recommend. Postcard every other month, okay? Different subjects, different themes, sometimes Christmas, sometimes spring, whatever. And then a text message every 2, maybe 3 months is probably ideal. Okay, and then an email every other week. If they're not going to unsubscribe, keep giving them an email every other week just to put yourself in front of them. Probably email is the least effective out of the 3, but text is huge. I just did one for a company. He was a sizable company, but he booked, I don't even know, 30, 40 jobs just off of a text message that cost him like $150. it's huge numbers. But he also does postcards too, right? So you're connecting more, especially when you send a postcard like this, or the tile with an offer, and then you send them a text a week later talking about tile cleaning, right? And did you get that postcard? Here's really one thing that I'd highly recommend that I've seen about text marketing that's really important. Try not to have it a pitch fest. Have it more of a connection with your clients. So something like, the holidays are coming up. I'd wish you a warm, happy holiday season for you and your family. If you or any of your friends need cleaning, let us know. Just as a heads up, we book up in advance. So call 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Here's our number. No, like here's $25 off or 50% if you call by Tuesday. None of that crap, right?
Yeah.
Just you're a friend communicating, reminding them, and building a relationship.
Yeah.
Way better. Way better.
It seems a little bit more. That's a lot more. It sounds a lot more solid. I was gonna say that a lot of these guys are trying this strategy, and it's kind of similar to what you're saying. Don't do. They're telling them that they got a credit,
right?
And the credit's going to expire. You know what I mean? So then they take action, which I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have had success for it. Yep, there you go.
The $30 gift credit. I mean, we would do different numbers on this.
Yeah.
But if you sent this postcard, sure, send a text saying that you don't. And happy holidays. And by the way, I sent you that gift credit. Make sure you use it. Sometimes.
How many do you feel? When you do your marketing, like some of these guys don't really think, okay, we're not really giving a discount. It's kind of like the store, right? You used to go into the store. We knew something was only $100, right? But now it was on sale for $25 off, but now the price was $125. And they're not giving you any deal, because last week you could have bought it for the sale price. Now they've jacked the price up and they brought it down $25. Does that go on a lot in the home services? Do you recommend that style of advertising?
No, I don't.
Or do you really?
Dollar amount off is fine, but I don't recommend inflating artificially. Be true. Be honest. Yeah. Eventually, we had a great reputation in my city. You're not going to keep a great reputation by trying to pull one over on a few people.
Yeah, I've never liked those, because you just don't feel like there's any real value. Right? I mean, especially when you find out your neighbor got it,
right,
a regular service even cheaper, because they do talk, and all clients talk, right? I mean, especially if you're out there getting referrals. This is something that I'll be honest, man, on this, I'm probably horrible at it. Referrals. Tell me about how you go about working your referral program and actually getting them. Are you the guy that just goes out and asks for it?
Well, no, yeah, but you also want to do. I'm just going to see if this one doesn't say it, but a lot of these type of postcards, especially around the holidays, would say, if you in this verbiage, give this card to a friend, and then they would, right? We'd have a little tag in the bottom of all of our emails: give this card to a friend, or forward this email to a friend. We would also give them a gift card that would be good toward, not for them, because on the back it says first time clients only, some fine print, all that. But we would give them 3 or 4 cards and ask them to give these to their friends and their neighbors.
How'd that work?
Great. These were so great. And we'd also give a handful of these to realtors and interior designers and flooring retailers, people like that. So we just give it to them and say, we'd like to give you some gifts to give to your friends, toward future cleaning, and we'll give you a reward back if they use us. Now, you can't use the card because you're not a new client, but we will definitely give you a reward back if you give this to your friend. And it would work great. We would get these cards back. They have a little spot in the back where they can write their name. We would sometimes even write it on there for them and have them give it to their friend. So
I've heard so many people say this, John. I can't afford to advertise. Have you heard that?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah.
I can't afford. It should be I can't afford not to advertise, right? So what's the realistic percentage? If you're a company out there, what are you spending on marketing monthly?
Sure.
What is your budget?
Sure. The general rule, and I learned this back in advertising school, is approximately 10% of your projected sales. So if your projected sales for the month is 50 grand, I would spend at least $5 grand on marketing. and maybe more. And that's just sort of an average. Now, if you're a long-term business and you've been in business for a while and you're not trying to grow, you could spend less than that for sure. But if you're trying to grow, you might spend twice that. You might spend 10 grand. You might spend 15 grand. When you first year, you might spend way more than 10%, right? But that's an average.
So it's funny. I don't do this, but this is a blooper. Okay. We were trying to get this customer. We wanted this customer really bad. It was a whale, right? And it's a little bit different in commercial, right? And I spent $32,000 trying to get this customer. We got the customer, okay? But after I spent the $32,000, you can imagine I never got even. You understand? Like it was one of those, what do you call them? Your showcase customer or trophy customer. And then I learned a lesson a long time ago. These are my bid packets, right? Mm-hmm. And people don't understand that this stuff all costs money. And I had a bid packet that was costing on an average of like $35 a bid packet. But we were sending these things out like cotton candy. You know what I'm saying? So I was way overspending, and I learned that lesson, long time ago. So I'm glad we were talking about that and what the percentages are. So you're saying roughly, a 5% is a rule of thumb?
Well, 5% is probably on the lower side. 10% is the average.
10%?
Maybe the general rule.
Yeah.
If you're new in business and or trying to actively grow, you might spend 15, 20, 25%, right, of your projected sales. Now, if you've been in business for a while and or you're not trying to grow, maybe 5%, maybe even 2%. I know some guys that don't spend anything, but here's the thing that I learned in my cleaning company. If you're not doing any marketing, eventually your clients, even if they love you, they're going to die and they're going to move away and you're not going to have any clients. So you have to do some marketing, right? Or you're eventually not going to have any clients at all.
These young guys out there, they don't, you said the word die. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's sad.
You make the call to Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith's phone is no longer in service. In the commercial world, it's kind of sad because you're not really close to these people, right, but you do have a business relationship. But when somebody passes away from a company, they act like it's national security to tell you the person has passed away. You know what I mean? And eventually you're like, well, where did Mary go? You're like, and you're just like thinking she moved to another company. She's just no longer with us, But it is kind of crazy. And like you talked about that, you always, I guess there's that little phrase, if you're not growing, you're dying, kind of thing. Yeah. And it's true. You really do have to stay after the marketing. It has to be something that's continually going on. It's great to keep clients and retain it. Obviously, that's what we're all in business for, because those are the easiest customers, right? Right. The people that have worked for you. We didn't talk about this subject very much, but were you a Zig guy? Did you?
Oh yeah, I met Zig Ziglar, had dinner with him and some other guys that spoke at a conference with him, I think twice.
Yeah. And a lot of guys don't know that in that era, he was selling widgets, right? And predominantly cars. People don't even know that it was a car. He started out with the cars process. I hope he didn't create that process, because that buying a car process is horrible. Okay.
I didn't even know he sold any cars. I didn't remember that.
He worked with a lot of dealerships and people that and a lot of people say that formula for how they say, and I'm like, no way, that cannot be Zig's formula, because you and I both know probably one of the worst sales experiences in your life has been buying a car.
Man, I piss off every car salesman I've ever bought from. I mean, they hate me by the time. They're like, "Get out of my office, John. Take your car."
You get your keys back. They throw it in.
And I'll look at them and I go, "Man, I do marketing for a living. I know everything that you're trying to pull here. Yeah. I do this." Well,
yeah.
Kind of
one of them I stole from the auto business is the big Sharpie marker.
Yeah.
If I've got a real important one, I will take the giant Sharpie marker and I will write the number right across. See this folder's clear on the front?
Yeah, that's
so I can write the number on the front without jacking the proposal up.
nice.
And then they know the number.
I used to do that in newspaper ads. It would be a black and white newspaper ad, but I would get the color just to highlight certain things. And a couple people called me and said, "I thought my husband highlighted this in the newspaper for me to call you."
Yeah,
and
that's
do
it.
it on postcards sometimes and things like that.
Yeah.
That's just attention.
It is. It's an attention. It's an attention getter. I was always wondering why they did that. I'm not really positive, other than that number then sticks out to you,
right.
And it's your bottom line number, right? But that's pretty. It's pretty cool. It's kind of neat to talk about sales. It's a lot of fun for me because it's what I do. I think that when I was growing my company, it was the part of the business that probably, it sounds like for you too, it was the part of the business that was the most fun. You know what I mean? Because you're always creating something, right? You're always trying a strategy, and I think that people don't realize over decades we've seen lots of trends, things pivot, how you do it. But at the end of the day, like you just said, the trust, the relationships, all that stuff all plays the part. And when you're trying to build a business that's going to work on, let's say, repeat customers, because if you don't have repeat customers, man, could you imagine every day? And I know some of these guys, you know them, they do it. Every day they're looking for new customers instead of thinking about all those old customers. And we were joking on the green room because back 10, 12 years ago, because you've been doing that this long, and so have I, you'd always ask I started off helping friends, because I don't help people like you professionally, but I'd help friends, and I go, "Where's your customer list?" And they'd go, "It's in 2 boxes in the corner on invoices," and they would literally have 2 boxes stuffed full of these invoices. And I go, "Well, how many years worth of invoices is that?" And they'd be like, 10 years. I'm like, "Have you ever contacted these people that are in this box?" "No."
I know. I hear it all the time, man.
And it would crack you up. It's just like these guys that are slow. The cleaning industry, people don't realize this, is going into to a busy season right now. Right. And most people in my industry think it's a downtime, because they think exterior cleaning in lots of parts of the country, yes, it can become a seasonal thing, right? Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, if you're not in an area where it's too cold out, people are trying to clean their house up, interior and exterior. Right. And I would try to tell these guys, put a Christmas tree, before you hang your Christmas lights up special. You know what I mean? Get your house cleaning so those lights shine off the house.
Well, the funniest thing, for the carpet cleaning industry, January and February are typically, and back to school, but January and February are the slowest times. A few years, maybe 2 years, my busiest month was in February. You know why? I marketed it, just like you said, with the special winter offer like crazy to all my past clients. I probably put it in the newspaper and other places too, but mostly my past clients. And I told them, this is the best special offer we got of the year. You're not going to get it in March. A couple of people had called me like March 1st. They're like, "No, I was serious. We're busy now. We're busier. The special is only in January and February." But if you market yourself right and have the right offers that are still making you money, you can be busy any time of year. It doesn't matter. You can pressure wash as long as, I guess, pipes, your hoses aren't freezing, and you can pressure wash anytime.
Yeah, this is funny. I got to pull this up. I got to pull that up. John, just hold still right there. It's identical. That picture, that you want to talk about branding. I can't tell if that's you or the live photo, man. I'm telling you. That's some funny stuff. How long ago did you take that thing?
Oh, probably a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness. I'm like, man, if you took that a couple of years ago, you look the same. You're looking great. But
a little bit ago.
Anything else you want to touch on? Anything that maybe you want to cover?
I think we've talked about text marketing. I just to stress that that's a huge thing right now. not neglecting your past clients. And we've talked about that. I don't want to beat the dead horse too much, but you always got to think, like, how is your client that used you last year ever going to call you again? And usually the answer I get is, well, we left them a card or we left them a magnet. Well, the magnet's under the refrigerator now. We're in the garbage. So if you're not doing something actively to market back to them, postcards, texts, and emails, they're going to not remember who you are or not even know that you're still in business anymore. You have to market to it. In the cleaning business, any type of cleaning, you have to do that.
One of the last things I do, we'll wrap this thing up, is, so we talked about all these old ways of doing things, the postcards, we didn't talk about knocking on doors necessarily, but contacting through email, which we all know. Email, I think for current clients, you're going to get a better open rate. New clients, we all know it's right. People barely open. Hey, I barely open important emails at this point, So, but what do you think? Like, okay, we're moving in. We've moved into it. Been doing it now for 8 or 9 years. It's been a little shaky, but it's gotten a little bit better, a little bit more stable. What do you think about digital ads? What do you think about the differences between Facebook and Google?
Sure.
And is it a must? If you're doing home service, you got to do it.
I don't think it's a must. So I've done a lot of Google ads and I've done a fair amount of Facebook ads. Okay. Both round companies and for cleaning companies all over the place. Here's what I've found. Google ads, you got to remember what's going on with that media. People are going to Google and they're typing in carpet cleaning and they're looking for a carpet cleaner, right? So that's a Google ad. It's going to show up on the top, right? It's going to be a little bit more money than a Facebook ad, but Facebook ad means they're just scrolling Facebook in a social environment. You're walking up to them and going, hey, I got a really special offer on carpet cleaning. Do you want it? They're like, no, I didn't want carpet cleaning, right? Facebook has got a couple of ways to sort of think and find the people that have, but it's not that accurate. And it's not that, usually they look for a bottle of Resolve. So now Facebook's going, oh, well, this person needs a carpet cleaning company. No, they're not. They don't hire carpet cleaners. They do it themselves, right? Mm-hmm. So Facebook is a good thing if you can have a very low dollar buy-in offer and not for commercial. Facebook is not for, have you ever had good luck with Facebook for commercial, Ron?
No, I've never had any luck digitally for commercial at all, because most of those clients get referrals from
LinkedIn, maybe
from other people. LinkedIn,
maybe, right? Yes. So Facebook, don't even consider it for commercial. I wouldn't even consider Facebook either for services that aren't that used, like hardwood floor refinishing, or even really tile cleaning, maybe, depending on the area that you're in. But mostly carpet cleaning, maybe pressure washing, maybe maid service. That might be about it, the bigger cleaning type services. And you have to have a low dollar buy-in offer, like something that's $150 or less to get your foot in the door. And a lot of guys that I work with are like, forget that. I don't want to have that $100, and then you got to upsell them, and that gets icky. Upselling's not a bad thing. Upselling's not a bad thing, but when it gets to almost bait and switch, or where the client even perceives a little bit that it's sort of bait and switch, that's not how you build a good, reputable business.
No.
But you do have to have kind of that low buy-in offer, and it has to be one of those bigger services for Facebook. Usually I've seen Google ads do better, typically.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you start with that bait and switch stuff, it becomes back to the, have you ever bought a car from the same salesman?
Right. And you know why?
Because we feel so bad when we leave there.
Right, that too. I can remember one salesman that I loved. You know what? I got, and he recognized me from my newspaper ad for my cleaning company. And I was like, okay, cool. I got to buy a car from this guy now. And he was a great salesman. He wasn't the bait and switch icky salesman, and I was like, I got to buy a car from him. But I think he retired shortly thereafter. So I never bought another car from him again, but I would have, right?
Yeah. I think I bought a second car from a friend that I went to high school with, father, who was a dynamite salesperson. He was unbelievable. And I bought that second vehicle from him, and same thing. He retired there shortly after, and I was never able to buy another car from anybody that I was happy to buy a car from ever again in my entire life. Of course, now you probably did this too as a business person. You dealt with the fleet department, which there's a tip for you guys. It's a lot less hectic,
right?
And they pretty much cut all the BS out.
They do.
You know,
They do. You just
so
tell them, hey, I don't have time for this. And they're like, that's no problem. I don't either. Here's the deal.
here's
Okay, that
my
looks
check. Have it ready. I'll be there to
Correct.
pick it up.
Absolutely.
Where do I wire the money to so we can get this thing done? So when I'm there, all I got to do is put my John Hancock and drive out the door.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's sales is a lot of fun. I don't think I think that a lot of people in your industry and my industry, it's the cleaning industry. It's still fairly carpet cleaning's probably not as low entry as pressure washing, because we all know you can go buy a pressure washer for under $1,000 and get rolling with it. Carpet cleaning you probably could too, a portable, something like that, a few $1,000s, and then you're on your way. But I don't think people understand or realize that this whole part of the advertising, the marketing, and the sales is all the nucleus of your entire business. I mean, if you don't have a good marketing sales campaign going on, you're just not going to grow your business. Because all these guys that say, well, word of mouth, this and that takes 5 years, and if you want to not make a lot of money for 5 years, I'm sure you could build it up to where you got enough referrals and you get enough repeat clients. But man, it's going to take you a long, long time. And then, like you said, I guess people that hire you are not necessarily the one-man show. I mean, am I wrong?
I've got
they
guys that are
they start that way, right? A startup.
Yeah.
But I mean, are you? And I guess if they're happy being a one-man show, I always say, hey man, sometimes I wish I'd stayed one man, because we all know the headaches, of having 10 or 15. Hey, having 2 employees is a headache, but having 25 is even worse. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta have a sales and marketing program, an advertising campaign. It all goes together, and people all too often think sales, marketing, and advertising are the same thing, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're all different things, and you've got to be doing all of those in some form of campaign, because like you say, if you're not growing, you're dying, and you gotta continue to grow, because it's a foolish notion to think every customer you service is going to be completely happy with you, okay, or want to use you again, because sometimes that just doesn't happen. You look funny, you wore the wrong shoes, you said the wrong thing, I mean, and we all know in today's age of the climate out there, it could be many things that people are turned off on why they don't want to use your company. Has nothing to do with you clean the carpets, great, but I didn't like that pink truck you drove. Or whatever.
Sometimes even repeat customers flip out over sometimes nothing.
Yeah. Thinking that this is a mega hat. How many people? How many people? I can't wear this outside. I can't. If I wear this thing, and believe me, this is not a mega hat, guys. This is it's just another guy that's in the industry that has his name on his hat. And I had to tell him, man, I said, I went to some places recently, I had to take the hat off. You know what I mean? I got treated completely different when I took the hat off. I was
when you come to Colorado, don't wear it.
I was like, wow, people, I told the missus, I said, man, people are actually saying hi to me this morning. You know what I mean? They're going, good morning. And she goes, it's the hat. You don't have the hat on.
I still got your Make America Clean Again from back in the day.
You remember that? Huh? That was funny. That was funny. It was a bit of a joke back then. I don't think we can make it a joke now. But
yeah.
Anyways, hey, I appreciate you coming on here. I think we should do this again.
Definitely.
I think after the first of the year, I think we should do this again and talk. So, tell them your website or how to get a hold of you. I'll put that information.
Sure. Yeah. The best way to get a hold of me is hitmanadvertising.com. There's a chat widget there at the bottom. Just send me a message and I'll get it, or one of my people will get it and get me a message, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, and guys, if you even after this video, if you got questions, I'll tag John in here. He'll see the thing, notify him. if you got some other questions for him about advertising things, you know, it's not about hiring him. I know he's a helpful guy. He helps a ton of guys in the industry. Most of the guys that are out there that are good advertising people, you know, are willing to help you out. It's not always about pay to play. You know, if you got some kind of little question, everybody that you ever hire to try to do something for you, if they're not willing to give you a little sample or a little touch of what they know, that should be a sign. Don't hire them. Because the guy that goes, well, hey, if you give me your $29.95, we can show you inside the magic book, you know.
For 12 payments.
That's it. Before you get to see that, you know.
Right.
But anyways, and I know you got a lot of proprietary stuff that we didn't delve into that you help these guys with. That's what happens when you've run a business for 16 years and been doing the advertising stuff for 16 years. And we forgot to mention, this guy's got a degree in marketing. I don't know where from.
You know, University of West Florida.
West Florida, there you go. But you're originally from Colorado, right?
No, I'm from Florida. Yeah, that's right.
And you just decided to move to Colorado?
Yeah, from mountains. Well, I sold my cleaning business and I was able to move, man. So
and you were like,
before
I'm
that,
out.
I never could move. So I moved to Colorado as soon as I sold my business. Actually, before I sold the business, when it was.
And guys, I don't know if this is for certain, but we'll announce it later. I'll be in Carlsbad next week on Friday, guys. 8 a.m. Carlsbad. You can go to National Cleaning Expo and check that date out. It's free, so sign up for that. And I'm going to also do something on December 19th in Aurora, Colorado. So John and I talked briefly. There's nothing solid about it, but look forward to it. I may invite him there if we can work this out. We both talked. It's a little bit before Christmas, but we'll have him come, and I'll have him do something on home service since I do everything on commercial. And maybe he'll do 45 minutes or an hour that day for the It's only a 4 hour. I only run a 4 hour class. We do a lot of breaks. We do a little bit of networking. It's very short. As you guys saw, I'll be covering the entire country. So there's no reason to fly in for this 4 hour class, guys. If you're listening to this ever and you're in Colorado, plus we'll have some advertisement for it in Colorado, I recommend if you're local, come. But don't anybody fly in. It's not needed. I'm gonna be all over the place. So, and you know what? Maybe you and I will do a live feed.
Yeah.
For that hour.
Absolutely.
In Colorado too, and we'll get some web people in there. I appreciate you joining me today, and we'll definitely make this again for the future. Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks for having me on, Ron. Thank you.
Hey guys, Ron Musgraves, Pressure Washing Institute, Contractors First. Make sure you check into National Cleaning Expo. Check out my dates where I'll be. Free commercial training, 4 hours. Check it out. We'll talk at you guys later.
Thank you.